XRP ETFs cross $1 billion of assets under management, and the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange is looking to invest in a crypto payments firm. And there's major stablecoin updates around PayPal and SoFi Bank. I'll give you the details. Let's get into it. Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as a thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Okay, folks, the first news item, the Intercontinental Exchange, also known as ICE, is the owner of the New York Stock Exchange. It's essentially the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, is in talks to invest in the crypto payments firm Moonpay as part of a new funding round. Moonpay is targeting an approximate valuation of $5 billion. This is per Bloomberg. Now, many of you may recall the Intercontinental Exchange launched back in 2018, and that platform was going to be pretty huge, but due to regulatory headwinds, they had to sunset the business. It's still around as far as I know, but it's completely different, right? It's not the same plans, but that's not stopping the Intercontinental Exchange from expanding. And this is a big move here. One of the TradFi giants investing in crypto, and you know they're going to continue to do more. And this could also signal that Moonpay may go public. They could do an IPO, maybe get listed on the New York Stock Exchange, right? So this is very big for Moonpay. And many of you may recall, I recently interviewed the president of Moonpay, Keith Grossman. That interview was from last month. And Keith has an extensive experience in Web 2, and Moonpay is doing some great things. If you haven't seen that interview, be sure to check it out. Now, moving ahead, the Senate confirms Trump crypto-friendly nominees to take over the CFTC and the FDIC. So we're getting some confirmations here. So we know Mike Seelig, he is up for the CFTC chairman role, and you got Travis Hill, he's going to lead the FDIC. So this is really great, and they are both pro-crypto. So we are seeing pro-crypto people being put into office here, as opposed to what we saw under Biden. You had a lot of anti-crypto people who were working for Elizabeth Warren, of course, and the head of the snake was Gary Gensler, of course, but things have changed, and we are now having pro-crypto folks put into office who understand this industry and what it's about and much more. So this is very bullish for the future of crypto regulations and clarity in the United States. Now, folks, this episode is brought to you by Propy. Propy is leading the charge of putting real estate on chain. Propy has put deeds and titles and much more on chain. They have created NFTs for properties. And on Propy's platform, you can buy and sell real estate for cryptos. If you want to sell your house for Bitcoin or buy a house for Bitcoin, you can absolutely do that with Propy. And Propy's platform is blockchain powered, so they make the process of buying and selling very easy. In fact, they use Coinbase for the crypto escrow service. And Propy's been around since 2017. They've done $5 billion plus in deals. And Tim Draper, the billionaire investor, is an investor in Propy, and he's very bullish on it. And folks, I'm a Propy token holder. I have been since 2018. Because when I discovered Propy, I realized they were ahead of the curve in disrupting the real estate market and industry with blockchain. We know real estate will be going on chain. The whole buying and selling process will be on chain. That infrastructure is being built out here, and Propy's leading the charge. So once again, I'm bullish on this project, and they're doing some amazing things. They're using blockchain and AI and much more. This is the future of the real estate market, folks. So if you'd like to learn more about Propy, go to propy.com. Link will be in the description. Now, folks, we have some very surprising news coming out of the EUs. So the ECB's Christine Lagarde shifts focus to digital euro rollout after holding rates. So they're moving up the timeline here to launch their digital euro, which I think this is a CBDC. So the European Central Bank has completed its preparatory work for a digital euro, awaiting action from political institutions. ECB President Christine Lagarde emphasized a data-driven approach to interest rate decisions, with inflation projected to meet 2% target by 2028. The digital euro is prioritized as a strategic financial tool expected to launch in the second half of 2026. So what is driving the urgency all of a sudden? Well, A lot of other jurisdictions are moving ahead with their stablecoins and CBDCs, especially here in the United States. We have the Genius Act rollout. A lot of big banks are looking to launch stablecoins and much more. So competition's heating up. In addition, if they're going to roll out universal basic income, which we know it's coming, right? Now, I know some of you say, hey, Tony, UBI has been around for a while. Yes, but not at a mass scale. So they're going to ramp this up and people are going to get their UBI payments and other type of government payments via these digital currencies, stablecoins, CBDCs, whatever, approach these central banks take. So that's what's coming. And I think this is a very bullish sign because they're going to have to educate the masses and the public and all these things to start getting them, comfortable with this, right? Because it's no longer a check being sent to your house or wherever, or a wire transfer or a direct deposit into your bank account or things like that. It might be through a specific wallet, and you can do different things with that currency. So this is very interesting. The original timeline was like late 2028 or 2029. So very interesting that they sped this up, that it's going to launch in the second half of 2026. Now, speaking of stablecoins, look at this. PayPal to use the PYUSD stablecoin to fund AI infrastructure through USD.ai. So recently we highlighted that YouTube integrated PayPal's PYUSD stablecoin for creator payments. And that's, incredible adoption, right? Google owns YouTube, and YouTube's a massive platform. So PYUSD will be used to support USD.ai's on-chain financing for AI infrastructure, including GPUs and data centers. A one-year incentive program will offer 4.5% yield on up to $1 billion in customer deposits. The development highlights growing demand for programmable dollar settlement as AI infrastructure spending accelerates. Even AI agents will use stablecoins, folks. That's going to be a big market. And we know they're not going to use ACH and all that, right? It's going to be stablecoins, and you need the instant settlement, you need a fractionalization, and much more. So very, very interesting. And here's some more stablecoin news. SoFi, the digital bank, unveils the first bank-issued stablecoin for enterprise payments. Wow. Look at what's being built out here, folks. This is incredible. So SoFi has launched SoFi USD, a US dollar stablecoin backed one-to-one by cash held at the Federal Reserve and issued by its FDIC insured national bank. Wow. The coin runs on a public blockchain, offering instant low-cost settlement and opening the door to white-labeled stablecoin services for fintechs, banks, and enterprises. Initially limited to internal use, SoFi USD is expected to roll out to SoFi members in the coming months as part of a broader payment strategy. Now, this wouldn't have happened if the Genius Act didn't get passed this year. So very, very big. We're seeing the stablecoin race heating up, the tokenization race heating up. And you're going to see a lot of different banks launch their own stablecoins, and we're going to see who the big winners are. Now, many of these banks do have their large customer bases and their own ecosystem. So, that could work out really well. They don't necessarily need mass distribution because they have millions of customers. So I think the big banks are going to win out for sure. The big question I have here is which public blockchain, because this report does not give the details. So we're going to have to wait and see. Most often we've seen Ethereum be the first, but Solana has been getting some pickup as well. We heard about the news of Western Union launching a stablecoin in Solana. So let's see. Or it could be something else, right? But very bullish. Just look at what these banks are doing, folks. They're launching stablecoins, they're tokenizing, they're launching crypto trading and ETFs and custody and much more. It's amazing stuff. All right, look at this. XRP ETFs have surpassed $1 billion in total assets. Big milestone here for XRP. Remember, it was launched not too long ago, and there's been a lot of demand for this assets, despite the haters and the people who are tribal, right? It's why I hold the asset in my portfolio, but I'm also diversified, right? I hold Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and so forth. So huge news here for the XRP ETFs. And it's weird because all these people are buying Bitcoin ETFs, ETH, XRP, Solana. Are they buying as we're heading into a bear market? These are the questions I have, and I pose that question, that it doesn't seem like this thing is over based on macro factors and all these things that are ahead, especially crypto market structure and much more. So just some food for thought. And look at this. Bitwise has filed with the SEC to offer a spot SUI ETF. So we're going to continue to see more altcoin ETFs, folks. They're going to go down the list, right? They've gone from the top 5, they're going to go to the top 10, 15, 20, and so forth. So this is really great. Huge on ramps being built for the crypto asset class, and we're just in the early innings here. I know the price does not reflect, all this great news, but eventually it will. We just got to be patient. You got to be patient, folks. You got to control your emotions. I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but this is where the money's made when you go through these cycles and you learn the cyclical pattern of the markets. And right now we are in a downturn, but I do believe we're going to bottom out and start rallying. We've been tracking global liquidity, what the Fed is doing as they have started quantitative easing. Japan most recently approved a $118 billion stimulus and much more. So let's see how things go. Obviously expect volatility. Obviously expect there could be a dump tomorrow, right? These things are par for the course, so don't let them phase you. Have the macro view. When you look at the market and the charts from a macro view, you just see a continual uptrend, right, folks? So these are the things to keep in mind. But that's the news, folks. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Please support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. Be sure to grab a copy. It is available in paperback and digital. And my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto. So check it out, folks. Folks, heads up, I will be traveling starting tomorrow into next week for the holidays with the family. So there's going to be limited content. I'll still be publishing and I'll give you guys some updates as things, come up, but expect limited content. So just heads up and, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody ahead of time. But thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.